Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns. I'm your host, Josh Pies, and this is the show where scrappy founders, rebellious visionaries, and business misfits pull back the curtain on what it really takes to build something extraordinary from absolutely nothing. No trust fund, no fairy god investor, just grit, duct tape, caffeine, yeah, and that dream. We're talking about the wild, unfiltered ride of turning chaos into cash flow and ideas into impact. So buckle up. This is no Disney movie, but there might be some magic. Let's face it, even Elon started in a garage. So without further ado, let's get to the next episode. Welcome to Bootstrapped Unicorns, presented by C47 Digital Studios. Unicorns, welcome back. This is Bootstrapped Unicorns. This is the upside down episode. What does that mean? We're going to talk about inversion today and why that matters for the health of your business, especially if you're a startup. But you can even apply inverted thinking today to an existing business and be better for having done the exercise. So, one thing that I wish I was better at is looking at my own stuff and poking holes in it to see if the holes actually turn into leaks or if I actually have a watertight idea. I'm very excitable. I'll chase ideas very quickly and then I'll watch them fall apart, and that's my proof whether they're going to stick or not. It's a terrible idea. There's a better way, and that's what we're going to talk about today with my friend Brent. Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. So Brent Parker has The Secret Power of Inversion. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and so get ready because this book is something that you should be purchasing soon. But man, you are. I knew you before authorship, unless you have a whole bunch of books.
No, this is the first.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's get a little bit about you first, Brent. I met you at 1 Million Cups. Mm-hmm. We're hanging out, listening to other entrepreneurs talk about their stuff and helping them pick their thing apart, kind of apropos of what we're talking about today. But you own a business, actually more than one, right?
Yes.
All right. So, what do you do with your spare time called entrepreneurship?
So I think, what I've done in the past is, or I say today, I own a company called Open Campground. It's a software for campground owners to kind of manage their business, to get reservations for their campground or RV park. Anybody that's going outdoors and has a business, they could use our software. Then also I have another little side business called Marina Payments. We provide payments for marinas and boat yards. So I've been an entrepreneur my entire life.
Okay.
One of my first businesses I was just talking to my wife about it this morning, was we made coffee, specialty coffee. This was when we lived in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And, I had like 4 different flavors. And
could I go to like Harrah's or Montego Bay and get your coffee?
I wish, but it's no longer available.
Okay.
But that was like my first kind of real introduction into having a business that I could sell a product or service to. Of course, it didn't work out, and I can kind of touch on that. But that's kind of like where I got my start.
Interesting. And how old was your starting effort? How old were you?
I would say in my mid-20s.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a good time to kind of grow your wings on the way down and figure it out.
Yeah, I think once you start working for a corporation, you start getting into making money in the traditional way. You start to think, is there another way? Is there something that I can do to kind of get some freedom, right? Mm-hmm. Or to show some of the things I like to do, right? And so I love coffee. I was raised in a family that loves coffee. I mean, we're just like huge coffee drinkers.
Really?
So I said, hey, why don't I just make my own coffee? So I had a roaster there. He was making specialty blends for me.
I love the smell of the roasting
process.
My
goodness. It was amazing. It's actually funny you say that. That was one of the reasons why we failed.
What?
Because the roaster that we had, it was in an area that was surrounded by residential. But at the time, there wasn't any residential when he started the business. So as it grew, some of the neighbors says, I don't like this smell, right? Like the smell is bothering me. I don't want to smell this, roasted coffee every morning. So
wait, they don't want to wake up to the smell of roasting coffee?
Yeah, it's not, like Folgers.
Who are these broken people?
They didn't like that smell. I'm like, who doesn't like a fresh pot of coffee, the smell, the aroma.
Seriously. Well, and speaking of pot, we live in a society now where your neighbor is smoking at 6 a.m. anyhow. So we're waking up to a smell. Might as well cover it with some really nice coffee.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's unfortunate because he was able to say, you know what, I can't I can't go on anymore, right? I have to move. I have to move my operations. And he said, if I have to move, I'm just going to shut down the business. Oh. So unfortunately, when he shut down my business, I didn't think about what my next step was or my backup plan was, which kind of goes in inversion thinking, right? Kind of thinking about your backup plan. And
so this was an independent roaster who would roast on behalf of other people. Did you have like, you know, I'm picturing those cool interactions where you're, you know, you're tasting the roasts and you're fine tuning it with them and getting it down to the science 100%. That is the art.
100%.
Really?
Yeah. It was such a good feeling because I felt that I had like the best looking cans of coffee on the market. They were modern, they were fresh looking, they were just, you know, no more like this big or so.
Coming in as whole bean, or did you send them ground?
We did both. We did whole bean and ground, depending on the customer, right? But yeah, we would go there, we would pick the flavors, we would look at the beans, he would tell me which beans will do this and what, and how to roast it properly. So it was like a beautiful partnership. And so, but unfortunately, you know, it just died down. But it still kept that entrepreneurship flowing within me. And it was just something that always still resonated and loved to do.
So you moved from coffee to outdoor campground software?
Yeah, that's a big jump.
Yeah?
Yeah. So in between that, you know, I had my corporate life, right, where I was the general manager, product manager for corporations that focus on property management.
Okay.
So, you know, if you had a residential property that you wanted to manage, or you want someone to manage on behalf of you, or perhaps a commercial property, we had the software to help power those landlords and those big
Got it.
property
So
management
the
companies.
one software I'm exposed to is one called AppFolio. Is it something like that?
Yeah. So AppFolio is newer, but you know, there's other major, you know, softwares like Yardi, Voyager, and MRI software that was major players, or still are today. So I was able to kind of look in this space, and I also have fintech background experience. So I was able to blend those two worlds of payments and property management together to build pretty cool products and features. So that took me to outdoor hospitality because it's very similar. So when you think about, you know, you're a landlord for a property that, you know, you have a renter. In this case, you're just kind of exchanging the renter for a person that's transient. You know, they're only staying there.
They're
for
still
2-3
renting.
days.
Yeah,
but
it's just a much shorter time frame.
It's a much shorter time frame. And sometimes even with RV parks, you'll have somebody that's staying there for, you know, a couple months, 2-3 months, and then they go on to the next one.
Yeah.
But it's the activities and the needs of these owners of RV parks is extremely similar to a landlord or a property management company of just managing tenancy, leasing, you know, even like credit checks, stuff like that. It's all very similar.
So it seems like you took your property management software background and you found a way to turn it into kind of like the Airbnb solution for campgrounds then. Is that kind of where I'm seeing it?
That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. How many campgrounds are you guys serving at this point?
So we have about a little over 100 customers on our platform right now.
Wow.
We've adjusted, you know, a few things to kind of tailor towards large enterprise customers.
Sure.
But we run, last time I checked, we run about $90 million in revenue. Just from all the customers processing reservations and payments.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how much money like are enabling our customers to generate on our platform.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how many total transactions do you think are pushing through your system then?
We're doing a little over about 100,000 transactions.
That's incredible. How big's your team?
So we have myself, we have 2 engineers. So myself and 2 engineers.
Really, very lean.
Yeah, so pretty lean team. You know, we keep bugs to a minimum. The vast majority of things that we have to worry about is just, you know, support questions. People are asking, how do I do this? Or, hey, you wrote out a new feature. How do I do that?
Right, and the vast majority of the support questions, I'm sure, are coming from the 100, you know, campsite users not people who are logging on to book a site. It's probably
Correct.
more, yeah.
So we're B2B, but also we're B2B to C in some fashion, because we still offer reservation management to those guests. So they still are able to book their reservation through our system, but we never interact with the guest. We always interact with the owner.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. The owner actually almost deserves the rapport and cachet moment when they're solving maybe a micro problem for their customer. That's a big impression that they get to offer those people when they do it well.
100%. And some get it, some don't. Some understand that it's important today in a modern society to give an online booking experience.
Yeah.
Whereas some others are saying, Lord, I like the old school way. I want you to call me, and I want to get a feel for who you are before you book on my site. And I get it, because you're inviting a stranger to a campground.
It seems, camping is as retro vacationing as you get.
Yes.
So there is an element where I could see that there's going to be some owners who are like, no, I'm pushing back against technology. Why make me do this? But at the same time, I think they'll come around if they haven't, the ones who maybe haven't adopted Open Campground yet.
Yeah.
Because they're going to need you. And I think there is that nice hybrid where they can still stay rustic, stay true to the roots, and not have headaches.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what you're helping them avoid.
And we try to give them that flexibility. And the value that we're trying to portray is like, listen, if you have online reservations, you're actually generating more revenue that way versus taking phone calls and having a queue of people waiting for you to pick up that phone. And they might drop off and go to somewhere else.
Well, I think that's the thing is, there's that modern perception of kind of an instant gratification that if somebody's not on the other end of the phone, if I'm even willing to make a phone call, and I, like my wife, she wouldn't call. She'd just be like, I guess we're going to go somewhere else. Like, I'll call, but different personalities. So they'd lose that opportunity if
100%.
if it's not for this very accepted online platform.
100%. Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. So you've started a business and lost it due to circumstances. You've and I don't think you started Open Campground, right? Somebody had some stuff that you purchased.
Yeah. So Open Campground wasn't originally mine. I purchased it in 2023.
Oh, okay.
So the previous owner had it for about 14 years before that. And so, he built it up. He had like a legacy platform. That's the best way to describe it.
Sure.
I would say, just for the audience, if you ever use Windows 95 or Windows 98, that's what you were kind of working with. And so, but it still had a good bones to it.
Sure.
Some scaffolding was there. So I said, okay, if we take this on, we could definitely modernize it and make it to where now large enterprise customers, big partners can look at us and say, hey, I want to partner with you guys because I see what you're building. So that's the direction that we took.
Got it. So the big UI UX upgrade.
UI UX upgrade, technology upgrade, all the features and products. We definitely had to streamline it. Previously, it was for anybody. And we says, no, we can't do that. Right? We have to drill down our ideal customer. And so we adjusted the features to make sure that it was specifically designed for our ideal customer. So of course we lost some customers, but it was for the good because again, the platform was designed for RV parks, campgrounds, equestrian, stuff like that, those types of customers. So it was a pretty big lift that we had to do, but it's working now. Customers are being successful.
That's a beautiful thing. And what's interesting, you point out something that, just transitions right into your book. So your book, The Secret Power of Inversion, I know you've got a section in here, if I could just quickly find it, about define your customer personality or persona. Yeah. And so you clearly did the work to figure out on Open Campground who was your ideal user, and you've tailored for that. And it sounds like it's working swimmingly. Tell me a little bit about first of all, why did you even write this? Because some people have ideas and they never write it. You took action on it. Why?
So a lot of things. One is I think over time you start to recognize that you have some commonalities with a lot of people that you watch YouTube videos on or on the internet. And one of those persons was Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, the late Charlie Munger. And those two gentlemen, they really focused their attention on inversion thinking. thinking backwards, thinking how can I prevent failure? And when I was watching these videos, I said, you know what, I kind of think that way. And I would sometimes get in trouble even in my corporate life because I was thinking this inversion way, but they was like, no, you don't need to be thinking that way. You just kind of just think about, the path forward, and we'll worry about these consequences and these other issues later. And I'm like, no, I think you should probably have a very systematic way of looking at this. So I started to think, as well for entrepreneurs and founders, we all have very similar problems and concerns. Yeah, and so I love talking about business. I love talking about entrepreneurship. And so I felt that writing a book and giving somebody some guidance, some structured guidance was important. And even for me, I had to get my thoughts structured.
Yeah.
And so my journey with Open Campground, my coffee business, all these things, these learnings are in this book. That's in awesome. Some fashion.
Yeah.
So it was just something that I said I wanted to just get out and help people to really get their thoughts structured. And even for me, just to kind of use it as a reminder to say, okay, Brent, did you do it this way? Are you thinking of things, or you're only looking at the positive or the successes?
Yeah, the rose-colored glasses are dangerous.
So it's just a checkpoint. And I mentioned that in the book. It's a mirror. It's a coach. And when you look in the mirror, sometimes you don't like what you see, but that's reality, right? That's who you're looking at. And so sometimes you have to make those adjustments.
It's interesting because, your book here has a ton of blanks. I like that. So an audience, I don't know if you can see this here. I'll hold it up for a second, but there's this is a book, but it's a workbook. And, so you're really inviting people not only to hear your, kind of your ethos, your philosophy, but you're also like, all right, get a pen out and take some action. Is this a linear design where it's like you go through chapter after chapter and it stacks? Or is this the type of thing where, people should, like I'm looking at chapter 4. I love this one. Why should anyone choose you? The whole idea of differentiation. Could someone dive into your book and go, I don't think I have an answer to why anybody should choose me, and like just digest that book?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be linear,
Okay.
but it can be designed for anybody to just jump in on a topic, whether it's partnerships, whether it's choosing, why should somebody choose you? Like, for example, like a partnership.
Yeah.
A lot of times we, as entrepreneurs, we go to, meetups and startup meetings, and we meet people.
Yeah.
We find partners and we think, oh, that person would be perfect, to team up with as a co-founder. But you have to start thinking, is this person the right fit? Do they meet my vision, my mission, my work ethic, and my risk tolerance? And if they don't hit all those 4, they're probably not your partner.
Right.
Right. So if that's the stage you're in, right, you've already gone from idea to perhaps MVP, and now you're looking for somebody to partner with, you can jump right into the book and say, okay, let me apply inversion thinking on the partnership part, because that's the most critical for me at this time.
All right. So define inversion thinking in your own words then, because I'm thinking we haven't gone there yet.
Sure. So inversion thinking is essentially looking at a problem and saying, how could I fail?
Okay.
And you're changing the angle of your viewpoint. So it's not looking at a pros and cons list. It's not being a pessimist. It's not looking at negative. You're really just inverting the thought and saying, okay, if I have an idea that I think is going to be successful, the real question is, how can I fail? Right? So I'll give you an illustration.
Okay.
So suppose that, you're building a jet, and you have this jet, and, you're building all these features, and you, of course, you want it to fly. But the biggest question you should probably ask, how do I prevent this jet from killing my pilot?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? So you'll do everything necessary to make sure that your pilot is safe, versus I'm going to build a pilot that goes this fast. It goes, at this rate. It does this maneuver. That's all cool stuff, but it's worth nothing
if it's going to kill your
people. It's going to kill your people.
Yeah.
right? So that's how you kind of apply inversion thinking. Is just changing your angle and thinking about how could this fail?
Yeah. So off camera, we were talking about business plans and kind of joking about how futile they can kind of feel. Not that they're a great exercise, but they're so outdated the day you put your pen down. And one of the key things in there that everybody has is the SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I was kind of likening inversion thinking to the idea that, threats, to your point, is left last on that list. And I think it's the hardest one to muster up. So a lot of people leave that reasonably blank and ignore it. Whatever they put down, they ignore over time. But that's not necessarily what I'm seeing in inversion. It's not one-to-one. They're tangential.
Yeah.
But I mean, in your example there, it's not an external threat necessarily that you're looking at of, there's an economic shift happening around the air industry. You're even looking at, the quality of the product and the design. Is it even safe?
Yeah.
Asking different questions that challenge the initial assumption, which is I'm going to build a really cool plane that sells a lot of units.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So let's invert a couple more things. Like what other industry should we pick on? Coffee.
So yeah.
All right. So how would we have inverted the conversation for your business?
So perfect example of my business. What I should have done was, what if my roaster goes out of business? That's the most simplest thing I probably could have thought about. What if my roaster goes out of business?
No fault of your own.
No fault of my own.
It just happens. No value judgment there. You have no resource, so you have to answer that question. If you ask the question, you've got to answer the question.
You have to answer it, right? So it's not just, okay, I thought of an inversion thought. Now it's I have to write down the answer. So what I've come up with to kind of help the audience and people that are reading the book is it's a framework called FIP for forward, invert, plan.
All right, walk me through it.
So forward is how you define it, right? How do you define success? How do you define what you want to achieve? Okay, so that's kind of like your pie in the sky. This is my idea.
Rose-colored glasses.
Rose-colored glasses.
Permission to wear them.
100%.
Okay.
The I, of course, is invert. Now you say, okay, how could this fail? What are the traps? What are the blind spots that I am not aware of? Then you plan for those inverted thoughts.
Okay.
So you put together each step, each plan to say, okay, I thought about this, I thought about that. And then now you have a full framework, a full picture as to how to proceed. And so when you apply that framework can be applied to anything, any business, any product, any service, even personally, right? Because we gave the idea of the jet and you're looking at it from a product lens, but also you have to take a personal check and say, do I have confirmation bias?
Okay.
Right. And you have to answer that because we all do.
What if you're unsure if you do? How do you poll the audience, or do you reach out to an independent thinker that who do you reach out to, or what resource do you reach out to break into understanding whether you even have a confirmation bias? And then, of course, if you do, how do you fix that?
Yeah, I think the best way, and I think I wrote that in the book, is that you have to reach out to mentors, people that are in those areas, like there are experts, and bounce things off of them, right? I think sometimes that's a lost art nowadays, where we want to get the question answered online.
Oh yeah, hey, ChatGPT, answer my confirmation bias.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yep.
And the prompts are based on confirmation bias. But I think it's important just to kind of have mentors and advisors, people that know their stuff.
Yeah.
Asking them questions and see if I have confirmation bias. See if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
Without that feedback, you're just in your own echo chamber.
Interesting. Have you seen this go wrong for people that you know? No, that's good. Not the inversion part. I'm sorry. The lack of inversion.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
yes.
I feel like I have too. I think I've done this. So
we all have. It's just funny. I was at 1 Million Cups.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman there. He was at the guest speaking at UCF.
Oh, cool.
And he was in the audience, and he says, when you were talking, he says, I personally applied what you said. He said, because I made a lot of mistakes in business. And he said, if I just thought about things the way that you said, I probably would have prevented myself from a lot of these mistakes. So if you think about the old percentage of 90% of startups fail.
Yeah.
But within that 90%, there's a lot of layers, whether it's you fail because of money, you fail because of product market fit, customers, or not customers, but competitors outworked you, whatever the case may be. All those elements can be broken down by just inversion thinking.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, if I'm building this, am I building the right thing? Am I focusing on my ideal customer? And what if my customer doesn't like it? Right? I mean, I think I like it.
Sure.
But what if they don't?
So then you got to hatch a plan to test.
You got to hatch a plan.
Yeah.
You don't just, yeah.
This almost sounds like for some personality types, this could turn into second guessing. How do we strike the balance between inversion thinking from this very positive sense of I'm going to challenge myself, find some negatives, find some things that might break, and answer these questions so I'm proactive. But then, is it possible that some people would then go, maybe they're attuned to be a little bit more negative in life. And so they'll suddenly think that a good idea is actually broken. How do we help people strike that balance? Is there an inversion partner? Is there safety in numbers? Like, how do we help with this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because you're going to have people that are pessimists. You're going to have people that are, glass half empty.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at this like, man, he shot my idea down.
Or did you save yourself from heartache?
Yeah. But I think the main thing is for people to just, again, look in the mirror and just take a self-analysis.
Yeah.
And just understand, like, you don't have all the answers, and it's okay. But how do I get the answers? That's by going through the book, asking advisors. It's not an easy question, but I think each person is a little bit different. But I think the bottom line really is for people just to accept that you just won't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And
you can't have the answers unless you have the questions. And I think what this is challenging, I mean, me with my own business right now, we're literally sitting in one of my studios having a conversation in my business, and I'm sitting here going, well, gee, I should probably ask more questions of myself, poke some holes, forcing myself to come up with answers that I may not have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting call to action. One of the things that strikes me, and I am inverting thinking. If you notice, there's a couple of times I've asked you some harder questions.
You were doing it just naturally.
Yeah, right. Sorry, it's just kind of me. But so this sounds like if you're going to do it right and well, that you need to commit to it, not as a next Monday over my 45-minute coffee, I'm going to go through this entire book.
Yeah.
This seems like you have to set an appointment with yourself to choose a longer term exercise, not just a less than an hour perusing, to force yourself into the inversion so you can start chasing the right answers.
100%.
Have you got a suggestion on how somebody might approach that?
Yeah, I think, again, it's not a book for you just to read through, while you're on the beach and, all right, I got it.
Right.
It's really for you to say, okay, I have an idea, or I'm in the process of an MVP, or in the process of growth or scaling. Let me sit down and walk through the chapters or walk through the areas that's important for you, and take your time. Right. I think that is a undervalued thing today, because we've always heard this term of, I'm sure you've heard it, go fast, break fast.
What is it? Fail cheap, fail quickly, stuff like that.
This philosophy is floating around. And so people adopt it because they think that's the way to do it, because they see other people on YouTube and say, okay, they're successful and this is how they did it. But that's not reality. Business has never been like that.
Yeah.
It's always been about the process, right? I think you've even heard people talk about how, entrepreneurship and startups is a journey. It's not a journey. It's a process. A journey is kind of like you go down a valley and you go by the beach and then
a journey sounds lovely.
It sounds cool.
Yes.
You're seeing leaping deer and, birds flying and, rainbows, and it's all cool.
Get your watercolors out and slowly paint the scene. Yeah.
It
doesn't work
try
that
to
way.
paint Van Gogh picture, all this stuff. But in reality, it's a process that has to be systematically done. But, I think to your question, I think that's what people have to do.
Yeah.
It might be uncomfortable. I get it. But you have to do it if you're going to be, hyper successful.
Yeah. And it seems like, this is not a very thick text in the sense of so it's under 100 pages. And I used to fly. I used to be gone from home 130 days a year on the road doing storytelling across the world. And so I would read a lot of books on airplanes. And I would say this is from, with one stop from Rochester to Orlando, I could go, drop off in Baltimore and then come home and have read this cover to cover in preparation for the second read. But to me, an entrepreneur, like a casual reader might, breeze through this once and go, oh, okay, I learned something. But if you're going to actually do this for your business, it seems to me that's the wise decision, is actually read the whole thing and maybe take some light notes, but then digest the whole thing over time again. Because the topics are weighty. Actually, let me go into the table of contents here. If I can find the pages, I just saw them. He's got a table of contents, I swear. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so, the part one, the foundation, the first 6 sections here are hard questions. Like number 6, are you charging the right price? Somebody's going to trip on that for a month.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the big things about pricing is you'll look at your competitor's pricing, or you think, I think this is good. Mm-hmm. And you price it in perhaps a 3-tiered model, like free, $20, and then $40, and that sounds good. But you never really gave it any thought.
Right. And you have no clue that your expenses are 4 times higher because you're a smaller business and you don't have the economies of scale and all this stuff, and so you just went out of business.
You went out of business. And, what pricing is, sometimes people don't even think about support costs, right? One of the things I mentioned in the book is if you have to answer a call from a customer and it takes 30 to 60 minutes, did you just lose money on that customer? Even though that you helped them. But let's just say your pricing model is $20 a month and you have to support a customer on the phone for 30 minutes or 60 minutes.
It's pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's an expensive phone call. Yeah. So your pricing has to reflect value. It can't just be, hypothetical or, it looks like it's about right. You really have to drill that down.
Yep. So, one of the things that we find being on a major road here is that sometimes idiots with horns are nearby.
Yeah, I heard.
Did you hear that?
Yes,
yeah.
I heard
that. I bet the mic's got that. It's that and police chases. We've had a couple of those, and every once in a while that shows up. So, ladies and gentlemen, angry drivers do show up around here every once in a while. Drive safe. So I'm excited about this actually, and I'm telling the audience and keeping myself accountable here. I'm going to go through this. We've been established and we're 16 years running for this business. And I have no problem telling you that it's probably time to tinker under the hood.
Yeah.
I think this is really, really exciting.
And the good thing about it, on the back of the book, for the audience, there are, we created our own canvas. Mm-hmm. So I think it's, if you go in the back of the book on the
show me where to go. Is this it?
So there are 4 different types of canvases. So this is similar to the lean canvas. Mm-hmm. One of the problems I had with the lean canvas is, from an idea perspective, it might be too much.
Yeah.
Or if I'm at the growth stage or the scaling stage, it's probably not asking the right questions.
Yeah.
So what I did was I said, okay, let me create 4 different canvases. One for the idea stage, the MVP stage, what I would call founder stage, mm-hmm. the growth stage, and then the scaling stage. So
for new entrepreneurs, MVP is minimum viable product. We've used that term a couple of times. Minimum viable product. Keep going.
Yes. But for you, since you're at the scaling stage, mm-hmm. so you wouldn't do the idea canvas. You would look at the scaling canvas and say, okay, let me look at it from a different lens now. And you would even ask the question, do I even have the right customers listening to me?
Oh, what a powerful separation,
Yeah.
between the stages.
Because if you've been doing this for 16 years,
Oh, yeah.
right, there might be a good chance that there's some listeners that may not be your ideal customer.
Entirely so. Oh, yeah.
It just might be. But, you have to kind of break that down and say, okay, well, how do I realign myself to make sure that my ideal customer is met, their needs are met. And then you start going from there. Okay, what's my next go-to-market strategy for the next 2 years, right? So you start breaking things down. We have it like on an ebook form. So
Cool.
Even though it's in the book, but we can always
print it
provide-
off.
You can always print it off.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I mean, people should be writing in this book, and you will have, I guess, kind of destroyed the book by the time you're done with it, which is great for you.
That's the idea.
People have to grab another copy to go through it. But yeah, printing off the forms at the back makes a ton of sense. It just makes your life a little bit more streamlined and easy. That's really cool. So where do people find this? Is this available online yet?
Yeah, it is online. It's on Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble, nice.
Yeah, so it's ready to go. You can purchase it there. Again, I have it as an ebook.
Okay.
So if they want to have an ebook version, let me know. But yeah, it's available.
All right. And so when am I going to come on your podcast that you don't have yet?
That I don't have yet.
Pressure. Here it is. It's live, everybody.
That is definitely something I was just thinking about because we are putting together a masterclass, for with this in mind.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. So we're breaking it down again because I've seen master classes that they're kind of monolithic and they don't take you through the steps. And so we're saying, okay, if you're at the idea stage, that is a class in and of itself.
Yeah.
If you're at the growth stage, that is a class in and of itself. Right. So we're breaking it down in chunks like that. It'll be on YouTube.
So not to throw a online resource under the bus too hard, but there's a website called masterclass.com.
I've seen that.
Yes. So I purchased the Steve Martin Masterclass, and I have never been more disappointed in my life.
Really?
Yes. Actually, I'm sure I've been more disappointed, but I was very disappointed in that. I mean, he's funny and he gives a nice delivery and he's a good storyteller. So his presence on camera was Steve Martin. So you at least get Steve, but he was going to be breaking down his comedic approach and his comedic genius. And now, mind you, I've listened to his life story and his autobiography. I've read the book as well. I'm a bit of a fan. So the stories he told were just stories. There was nothing actionable, nothing that was something I could go and say, all right, I will apply this to my writing. I will apply this to my stage presence when I'm doing comedy. I got nothing out of it. And it was like 22 lessons
That's shocking.
or something.
Because that's what I thought it was supposed to be.
It is exactly what it's supposed to be. That's exactly what it's sold as. And I've heard other courses on that platform do well. Like the Kevin Spacey one, I've heard people brag about. And he's, say what you will about him. At the time when he was selling it, there were no scandals around Kevin Spacey. But he's a brilliant actor regardless.
Yeah.
And my impression from people who have talked about it was, oh, that's a really good one. So I'm not throwing the whole platform under the bus, but Steve's writers or whoever was helping him with it just didn't show up for the audience. And that's kind of heartbreaking when you're in a master class that's missing those elements where I couldn't do anything with it. And that's frustrating. And so it's cool that you're doing something that's so intentionally separated with, the ideation stage versus the MVP stage versus the scalable stage and being so intentional about helping people learn how to invert their thinking. It gives me great hope that you're creating something that people can participate in a way where it's actionable. And the audience, if anybody's watching this show, which I know some people are, they know it frustrates the snot out of me when I can't use, or at least somebody can't use something from an experience, right? I mean, that's what this show's here for. Your masterclass is going to be for that. So I'm just, you make me happy that it's going to be oriented in a way that is operating at an actionable level. So when does it launch?
So hopefully before the end of the year.
Okay.
So we're a little bit ahead of schedule.
Hey, all right.
So we're pairing that with an app that allows essentially founders to kind of validate their idea before they launch.
Nice.
But the cool thing about it is advisors, they have like a portfolio of people that they advise, and they don't have a lot of visibility into how like a founder thinks. So this gives them that ability, because the founder will have to answer questions and to answer, what's my ideal customer? When I went and talked to people, my 20 customers, what was the feedback? When I talked to a partner to get, a potential CTO or a CEO on the team, what was the feedback? Or is there alignment? So now the advisor can come in, look at your notes, look at how you think, and adjust on the fly, right? Because the worst thing you could do is give somebody $50,000 or some funding and let them go about their business. And the next thing you know,
it's all gone.
It's all gone. Because, you had meetings, but you really didn't get to see how they approached things. So this software helps them, again, formulate and get scaffolding around their ideas. But there's a mentor that will help them say, hey, let's adjust this before it balloons into a big problem.
That's really cool. And that's you're doing that now.
Yeah, so we're doing that now. That's going to be part of the whole kind of ecosystem of this inversion. So you have the book, you have the Masterclass that will help you digest the book and really deep dive into these topics. And then once you kind of progress from there, you say, hey, I have this software that now I can apply this and keep track of these ideas and things I want to do.
I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
And so you're ahead of schedule on it?
I'm ahead of schedule on that one. So
right.
Hopefully, again, I'm aiming for December. December 14th is my birthday, so I'm aiming for that.
All right. It's my mother-in-law's birthday too, so
nice.
It'll help me remember it.
I think we're ahead of schedule.
By the way, you're welcome, Marjorie. I remembered that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So you're just a serial entrepreneur. It's just that makes me happy. I love that you got more irons in the fire.
I love it. Like my wife knows. Like you live and breathe this stuff. Like it's addicting sometimes.
It can be.
Because you see, it's kind of like the Matrix. When they take you out of the Matrix. Yeah. And you start to see things differently, and you just see opportunity everywhere. You start to break down, like, why did they, you go to an ice cream parlor or, a restaurant, and you start asking questions. Well, why did they make the menu like this? How come they couldn't have, you just start breaking things down. And it's probably bad for me to do that, but
I don't know if it's bad. I mean, it's how I'm wired. So I'm a visionary more than an integrator, which is a little bit of a challenge because I want to integrate as much as I can. But every time I turn around, there's another business plan that is completely formulated in my head. Yeah. Like I could sit down and talk for hours. In the moment of inspiration, seconds in, I've got hours of business plan content in my head. Yeah. And I see it in your eyes that you're the same guy. It's fun. It's the problem really is that there's too many of them in my head. 100%. And then you have to choose. So I don't know, is it a roulette wheel? Is it, somehow you throw the dart, you pick one and you got to go with it, but then you apply inversion thinking and make sure that you don't go down a rabbit trail that is going to cause a problem. So actually, visionaries and integrators, you visionaries need to rein yourself in and get this freaking book. Cool. I'm having fun and I don't want to go too long with this, but is there something that we're missing that the audience really needs to know? No, other than the fact that you were running around Las Vegas in a giant M&M costume. Yeah, I said that.
I think that, I told him that story. I told Joshua that story about, we had some time in Las Vegas and I worked at M&M World. And so one of the rites of passage is you had to get into a peanut.
Peanut M&M.
A peanut M&M. So they had the girl, she was green. They had the yellow one, which was the bigger one, and then the red one.
Right. And you're pretty tall.
I was pretty tall, so I'm like, okay, I got to get in the yellow one.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. You get in this big peanut suit. They have like this fan to keep you cool, and like in the Vegas heat.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's smart.
Yeah. So the fan, it works two things. So one, it keeps you cool, and then two, it keeps the peanut, I guess,
kind of inflated a little bit.
It has some form. So once you put on your outfit, now it's time to go showtime. Like, so you go out in the middle of the strip. And you're dancing around and stuff and attracting people. And it's so funny. These people are running up to me like I'm a superstar and taking pictures. And I'm like making faces at them like, well, I'm in the peanut,
So I'm just going to put it out there. Hey, M&M, we want him to reprise this. And we're about the same height. So we need 2 yellow M&Ms. We're in Winter Park, Florida area right now. Just ship them to C47 Digital Studios. We're in Winter Park. Look us up. We want 2 costumes. I'm putting in the order now because he and I will run around like crazy M&Ms. And trust me, you want this video.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're down, but I am.
That'd be cool to do.
That would be.
I'm always.
I have no reason to do this, but I'm so doing it.
Yeah, that's part of life, man. Like you just do something that it's not really meant to do anything more than bring joy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I keep hitting Coca-Cola up too because I'm such a Diet Coke junkie that I just want them to sponsor because I think just the idea that I could go home and say, hey, because Shannon, my wife, got me hooked on Diet Coke. I want to go home and just say, I got the sponsorship. Your Diet Coke is on them for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, you have lifetime.
Yeah, lifetime Diet Coke.
Lifetime Diet Coke.
So, and they have no reason to do that. However, they might have an awesome person in there who's going to get me that sponsorship. So why the heck not? All right, I'm having too much fun, but we do have to move on. And you, entrepreneur, know a couple of things about us. One, we are here for your benefit, your edification. So when I say that you should be inverting your thinking, I believe that. Go find Brent Parker's book right now, barnesandnoble.com. Wait for that masterclass. Find it. I think are you doing it in cohorts? Is that how you're doing it? Or is it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So get in a cohort. Yeah. I've known Brent long enough now to know that he's going to lead well. So you're in very safe hands. And then another thing that is I have no clue who's going to be on the next episode. So just come and enjoy. I promise it's going to be somebody who's going to drive value for you. And then finally, you need to get back to work.